From a solemn celebration honoring the spirit of the dead to a candy-laden costume party, we count 10 things you didn't know about the history of Halloween. So sit tight and let's uncover history. Number 10. The religious origins of the Halloween costumes. Halloween is an annual holiday celebrated each year on October 31st that has roots in age-old European traditions. It originated with the ancient Celtic festivals of Samhain, when people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as the time to honor All Saints. Soon, All Saints' Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve and later Halloween. Over time, Halloween evolved into a day of activities like trick-or-treating and carving jack-o'-lanterns. Around the world, as days grow shorter and nights get colder, people continue to usher in the season with gatherings, costumes, and sweet treats. Number 9. When Halloween became sexy. If I had $1 for every time I've seen social media comment along the lines of why are Halloween costumes for women so sexy, I would have enough money to march over to my neighborhood Halloween superstore and buy a sexy French fries costume. So, how did Halloween transform from a harvest tradition of apple bobbing and candy giving largely centered around children to a night of hangover making adult-themed throwdowns? Halloween is the one night of the year when you can dress like a slut and no other girls can say anything about it. And boom, sleuthing was finally put into words. So really, the reason Halloween costumes for women are so absolutely sexy is that women continue to buy them. Supply has merely ballooned to meet our no demand. Number 8. Halloween and poison candy. Poison candy myths are urban legends about strangers hiding poison or sharp objects such as razor blades, needles, or broken glass in candy and distributing candy in order to harm random children, especially during Halloween trick-or-treating. These stories serve as modern cautionary tales to children and parents. The stories repeat two themes that are common in urban legends: danger to all children and contamination of food. So many got sick that it was brought to the attention of the FDA, who finally traced the problem to orange dye, which is a used product resulting from the processing of coal and contained the toxic chemical benzene. The dye was banned and the FDA regulations was amended to include color additives in the list of food ingredients that are needed to be disclosed on labels. Number 7. The National Youth Honor Day. Today, the part of trick-or-treating is mostly harmless, but that wasn't always the case. In Omaha in the 1920s, there was much vandalism going on that 500 teenage boys were sent to bash for one night only, in the hopes that they would stop a distraction. In 1938, Boston gave awards to school districts that had the least damage. In 1948, one doctor's home was vandalized to the tune of $100,000 in today's money. And that was just one of the incidents of Halloween rioting that happened across North America in the 1940s. The rioting, vandalism, and in some cases racially motivated attacks got so bad in the 1950s the Senate Judiciary Committee started looking into getting rid of Halloween altogether in favor of the National Youth Honor Day. However, Halloween lovers decided that bribing kids with candy was a better way to go, and trick-or-treating became popular. Number 6. Bobbing for apples. Apple bobbing, also known as bobbing for apples, is a game often played on Halloween. The game is played by filling a tube or large basin with water and putting apples in the water. Because apples are less dense than water, they will float on the surface. Players, usually children, then try to catch one with your teeth. Use of arms is not allowed and often one tied behind the back to prevent cheating. Since apples were always closely tied to fertility and female power, bobbing for apples became more popular and modernized version of channeling the wisdom of the dead. In some areas, girls would mark apples before bobbing for them, and whichever apple they got was thought to foretell the romantic future. Apples were also thought to symbolize rebirth and lasting life, flourishing in the fall and reborn again in the spring. An apple peel thrown on the ground by a single girl would show her the first initial of a future husband. It was thought that magic on Halloween was infinitely more powerful. Number 5. The real danger of Halloween. Safety experts have long warned that Halloween is the most dangerous night of the year for child pedestrians, but new data suggests that teens face at least as much Halloween danger as little as superheroes and princesses do. A new analysis of US government data shows that 115 pedestrians under 18 were killed on October 31st, over a 21-year period from 1990 to 2010. That's an average of 5.5 deaths each Halloween, compared with an average from 2.6 other days, confirming that Halloween is by far the deadliest day of the year for young pedestrians, says researcher Bed Vase. Number 4. The real deal with the candy corn. No other candy can match the creamy taste of a candy corn, a sweet Halloween favorite for more than a century. Every Halloween, countless party throwers, party-goers, trick-or-treaters hit the streets to harvest candy corn. The recipe of candy corn has not changed and is still made with a mixture of sugar, fondant, corn syrup, vanilla flavor, and marshmallow cream. This mixture is melted into liquid candy called slurry and is colored and run through a cornstarch molding process to create each kernel. According to the National Confectioners Association, candy corn is a favorite Halloween treat for a whopping 12% of the population. Number 3. The Witch's Cauldron. The history and mythology of the cauldron involves more than disturbing whatever portion the witch happens to be brewing. Before Christianity, the cauldron symbolizes the womb of the cosmos. Everything life, energy, matter, and physical and spiritual came from the cauldron and returned there at death. That made the crone figure powerful, in charge of overseeing the perpetual life cycle and kept everything going. According to the ancient Irish law, the cauldron was the domain of a Dacta and was the source of all life, and specifically poetry. Not until Christianity came along did the crone need to be discredited, and her cauldron was assigned less than honorable rule for brewing poisons and potions. Number 2. Halloween Bed Vase. Studies have shown that anyone who has a birthday on Halloween has beaten the odds in a weird way. A study done by the Yale School of Public Health, whose data was supported by another independent study done in Taiwan, found that birds have a steep drop on Halloween. That wasn't just induced level but natural birds as well. When 1.8 million birth records over a 20-year period was studied, it was found out that birth rates took an 11.3% drop on Halloween. Science absolutely does not have an explanation for this, but those behind the study think that it might have something to do with the general feeling and in turn a subconscious mindset of people during various holidays. They also found a 5% rise in birth rates around Valentine's Day, making us suspect that Halloween night might be dishing out some heavy-handed havoc when it comes to expecting mothers. Number 1. The original jack-o'-lanterns. Every October, carved pumpkin peel out of porches and doorsteps in the United States and other parts of the world. God-like orange fruit inscribed with goldish fishes and illuminated by candles are a sure sign of Halloween season. The practice of decorating jack-o'-lanterns. The name comes from an Irish folktale about a man named Stingy Jack, who made the mistake of trying to play a trick on the devil himself. Jack was caused to walk earth for eternity, and the only thing he had to guide his way by was a hollowed-out tunic with a burning coal inside. Irish immigrants brought the tradition to America, home of a pumpkin, and began an integral part of the Halloween festivities. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and bye.